It restores virginity. Those two numbers, and then why I would be that personally, because we're going to deal with perspective. Then at some point, someone's going to want to assault me or something like that. So I'll just give you the best, all my love, and then that's in the Hindi doing sense. And so this whole black-white thing collapses too. And that was the challenge to restore virginity. So that challenge, I didn't even know that was a fucking thing. I knew it somehow a little bit. It was out there, but fuck, that's good. Um, did that. Um, and then there was my little numbers puzzle. And that's the harder one. So whenever like traditionalist versus extremist, oh I get it. Traditionalist versus extremist. What people don't give people credit for in the modern term, past year zero, which by the way you could have picked at any point to be on this side of year zero or this side of year zero. All of the wars were always getting to year zero. There was no problem after year zero. Um, and then the political mechanism is not in contrast with the intelligence board, and that got filtered through ISI. Thank you. Um, and then that's the myth, folklore, association, etc. Power, I guess would be a good term, of Al Qaeda. Um, Basically, as that whole thing goes down, everyone's like this guy's now a psychologist. This works with this. This works with this. The panel, so to speak, dealt with ISI because of its association and front uppance with Holy War. Um, that point, I'd stop treading. I'm dead stop at that point. Um, and that deals with, you kneel and you're in violation of law sort of thing. Um, and that's how we'll do that, so that we're not doing. And I already provided the socialist board. That's universal. That was accepted. The catalog was demanded to be separate or not. It happened first, so don't let that schism you. And that was accepted separately and had its additional base. And so then that comes to terminology of like market, and but it's more market than economics. The economics is a higher overdrive um, due to singular facilitation, um, entirety, holisticness. It was circle arguments, but those circle arguments are more Hawaiian than Islamic. See, um, and then I'm not going to demand or request nor solicit additional information from that. They run in the same thing as anyone else, so far as this popular accord of acting stupid sort of thing, and shit gets very dangerous very quickly. When you lie, when you're feigning, when you're providing doubt, when you're initiating a kind of a kind of hopelessness. And with those things out of the way, almost on the far side of India, but the way we're going to do it is we're going to deal with it in Hawaii, and we're going to deal with it in terms of virginity, not sacrificial premises, the sacrificial rites of Aaron, shit like that. All that's done. And that was Issa who did that, see? And then all of that works with all of the old traditional shit. And then that's enough to override everything into the extremist value. But it's not a depreciation, which is a total misnomer so far as the arc. There's a lot more to that than, you know, you can talk all day on that. You can get lost in that. You can spend your whole life in that. But then the growth of education, I'd park separately from the established education, and then that's enough in and of itself. We would do it anyway, but this notionism of a totalitarian onset is decapitated. Anti-imperialism and all of that, and then all of that intelligence is more than enough to override the generation of traditionalist schisms that's been employed by fucking Europeans since day one, with a fucking smile on their face. And that psych war met its end at, in a sense, this ISI drop. And basically the way that it worked is it got coined in terms of marketing. We're talking about sex and war, but it's on a single pane whenever you get to the point of dealing with ISI. And so part of the trouble was, as we have the arrangement, but part of the trouble was, as it moved out further, that people didn't feel as connected to either Islam or Satanism, and then that would re-erupt sex versus war. You know, do I feel like doing this, or do I feel like doing this? And then, you know, all of that would be drugged to either Hinduism or Christianity in a very anti-Semitic value. But that is a non-necessity. That action of anti-Semitism is a non-necessity to the function of understanding these things different. And so we're dealing with pleasure or pain sort of thing. That's our highest value, particularly in the Indian. And then it doesn't isolate, for example, China, traditionalist China. If you had to pick a traditionalism, Buddhism's pretty rockin'. And everybody ended up agreeing with it. Even the Israelis said that. Einstein. And it's that pacifist sort of element that is the true strength of the AAAU, which ended up growing into Black Flag Union. Everybody had their own unions that I kind of set up, and then its conglomerate is Black Flag Union. But Black Flag Union's open source. And so we come to things like classism is what we're dealing with now. I established the class realm the other day because the Catholics couldn't do it. I don't know. They froze. They just froze. They stop before they get to time, and then they never achieve constitutionality. They sit there and dwindle in something like a 3.4, 3.4, and then they're the ones fucking up decimals versus fractions. And so by the time that you get to third room and those sorts of stipulations, which is what I just reset right here, there's a deeper caliber to this, and part of it deals with forgiveness and pain remaining after the sin is done, and the recycling of those karmic values, and how eventually that which is negative is destroyed by positive, which runs hand in hand with the higher doesn't bow to the lower, which is perfectly in tandem with Islamic proper. I don't know how I would say it, but I'd kind of stop saying things at that point. And with that respect sort of thing there, just kind of bolted. You don't have to re-afford that every time, particularly in the sense of I fucked up and so now I have to do this. That sort of statutory is obsolete and extinct. I'm going to help you by failing, and then I have to come crawling to you and puke all over your floor and whatever else. No one wants to deal with that. And so that's how we broke that. But yeah, that hard wall, that was ISI's victory. And they led us to it. So it got blessed out of India. That happened yesterday. And so we have full picture there with a lot of different things that automatically generates, but that bolt kind of across, that's kind of cool. It's something to be proud of. It kills the polarization. The up and down is the binary of the polarization associated with the black and white, particularly going from Hawaii to Islam Arena. And what we find out is that whenever we do it correctly, those things don't exist as that. It's just a simple whole unit. And so that wedding is essentially how we get out of binary to the point of the establishment of, in a sense, an integer, and then that integer exists as both an integer as well an entire wave of potential simultaneously. And so that's the quantum physics crack. And I published that one too. The two circles dealing with men and women. And then that men and women is a universal thing. And then that takes things out like racist sex is what we're talking about, but that takes and drops that out of particularly the religious realm that was held by and employed by the Bundists and the Europeans as part of their psychological warfare, which got ultimately defeated. So that's a non-starter and total destruction of fucking white nationalism bullshit. And then that recount of, we were the ones that demanded this. This is what they're doing. We were the ones that demanded you exclude us from. This is what they're doing right now. They're cornered. They don't get to redeploy off that legally. So they might do it, but it's illegal, and so we don't have to listen to any of that. Is how it gets defeated in the politics realm. They don't get a contingency. See, if you were initiate and you were wrong, you don't get a contingency. Is kind of what it boils to. It's just done. It's just done. Power, potential, quantum, classic. I don't give a fuck. It's all one thing. And I can do that easily, just off of what we built already. And then that gets rid of the pitch pool destabilization. And there's lots of tricks that people have that aren't necessarily employed. I'm not getting rid of the studies in the traditionalist sense that amounted to the extremist, but to then take things that happens in the extremist and apply them in a traditional sense to create a schism doesn't do anyone a favor. Like, that book's written. That's done. That happened. In the same way that AI happened. And so in our civilization, societal sense, this energetic transformation we have to do, all these runaround values, is what they have. They have us on a treadmill doing Mormonism, but there's a giant break in the middle, and that giant break doesn't equal. It's the victory of poo and pie. And then in terminology of the cycles, it's not in violation of Hindi. And so then that break is that fault. We're not part of that. We might be white, but we're not the ones doing that. That's just those people. And so it doesn't have anything to do with black and white. And then at the same time that gets unchained, I'm white and I didn't do anything wrong. It then gets reapplied, particularly to, I don't know, whoever does it. And then the highest value is the one that we just established. So